Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, TKF28. Thanks for the suggestion. You asked, what's the difference between the military and the army? If you've ever heard someone say, he joined the military, or she's in the army, you might have thought those two meant the same thing. And honestly, that's a common mix-up. People use them interchangeably all the time. But here's the interesting part. While they're connected, they're not identical. So how do they actually differ? And why does that distinction matter? Stick around as we unpack the real difference between the military and the army, right here on History of Simple Things. The word military refers to the entire armed forces of a nation. It's the umbrella term that covers all branches that handle defense, warfare, and national security. Depending on the country, this can include not just soldiers on the ground, but sailors, pilots, Marines, Coast Guards, and even specialized cyber or space units. For example, in the United States, the military is made up of 6 main branches: the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force. Each has its own purpose, traditions, and chain of command. The same structure applies to other countries as well, though the names and number of branches might differ. The United Kingdom has the British Armed Forces, Canada has the Canadian Forces, and countries like China and Russia also have massive multi-branch military systems. The main idea is that the military represents a country's total defense capability. Everything that keeps borders secure, responds to threats, and carries out missions both at home and abroad. It's a complex organization designed not just for combat, but also for logistics, intelligence, medical support, technology, and even humanitarian aid. Now that we know what the military as a whole is, the Army becomes much easier to understand. The Army is a branch of the military. Its specialty lies in land-based warfare, meaning soldiers, tanks, artillery, and ground operations. When people think of boots on the ground, that's the Army's domain. Historically, the Army is usually the oldest and largest branch in most nations. Before there were airplanes, ships, or satellites, wars were fought entirely on land. Armies built fortifications, marched across territories, and defended kingdoms and empires. Even as warfare evolved to include the air and sea, the Army remained essential because, in the end, holding territory happens on the ground. Within an army, there are different units and divisions, each trained for specific tasks. Infantry handles direct combat. Armored divisions control tanks and heavy vehicles. Artillery deals with long-range attacks. And engineers build bridges, bases, and defenses. The Army is also responsible for logistics, moving troops, maintaining supply lines, and ensuring that operations on the ground run smoothly. In short, if the military were a sports team, the Army would be the ground player, the one who advances through the field while the other branches provide support from the air or sea. To see why the distinction matters, let's look briefly at the other branches of the military and what they do. The Navy operates on the seas and oceans. It's responsible for maritime defense, controlling trade routes, and projecting power across global waters. The Air Force, as the name suggests, dominates the skies. It handles aerial combat, transport, and reconnaissance. Then there's the Marine Corps, which specializes in amphibious warfare, meaning they can fight both on land and sea, often serving as the first to arrive in conflict zones. The Coast Guard focuses on protecting a nation's coastlines, enforcing maritime law, and conducting search and rescue missions. And more recently, Some nations have added a space force, which deals with defense and operations beyond Earth's atmosphere, satellite protection, surveillance, and even cyber defense in some cases. Each of these branches works together under the broader term military. So when someone says they're in the military, they could belong to any of these branches, not just the Army. Part of the reason people mix up military and army is simply because of language habits. In everyday speech, saying someone joined the military sounds more general. It could mean any branch. Saying join the army, on the other hand, specifically means they're part of the land forces. This difference also shows up in uniforms, ranks, and training. Each branch has its own uniforms, insignias, and rank structures. An Army captain and a Navy captain, for instance, are not the same rank. One commands soldiers on the ground, while the other might command a ship at sea. So even though they share some similarities, the culture, hierarchy, and duties can differ quite a bit. In short, military is the profession of serving one's country through defense, while army is just one path within that profession. So, to put it simply, the military is the big picture. It's the combined power of all the branches working together to defend a country's interests. The army, on the other hand, is just one piece of that picture, the part that fights on land. When you say someone is in the army, you're talking about a soldier. When you say they're in the military, you could be talking about a pilot, a sailor, a marine, or even someone who works behind the scenes, keeping the entire system running. It's a subtle but important distinction, one that helps us better understand the structure, coordination, and sheer complexity behind a nation's defense system. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.